Please rise and join Marina Robles, class of 24, for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing for the invocation from University Associate Jewish Chaplain from Temple Beth El, Rabbi Robert Kassman.
You may be seated. In the first century, if you were at the invocation of new school's president, the president would be expected to list the 14 links between himself and his own generation. He'd start with Pythagoras, Aristotle. He'd tell you he's from the Stoic school, or he'd start back then, and then he'd have to have 14 links. The first two leaders of the academy at Yavna, as their fourth link, quoted the same group of people, the members of the Great Assembly. The members of the Great Assembly, the fathers of the rabbinic school that still continues today, my school. After these thousands of years, I can still tell you that their aphorism was, be deliberate in judgment, raise many students, and build a fence around learning. Why did they say that? Well, be deliberate in judgment. They were tracing themselves back to Moses. They were tracing themselves back over 2,000 years by that point. They wanted to make clear that just because they had something that came back from ancient times, it didn't mean they couldn't question it. And because they had something that came from ancient times, they better be careful when they question it. They said, raise up many students, because when you're the president of a university, if you just have a vision for yourself, but you don't share it with a lot of people, then it doesn't last the thousands of years that their viewpoint lasted. And they said, build a fence around learning, because it can't only be that you have people who have understood and believed what you've said, but a broader group of people who've disagreed with you. Make a fence. Yeah, say, you know what, that's a little bit too far for me. No, I can't go there. But also have people inside the fence who disagree with you, but have viewpoints that are based on deliberate judgments that you've called on from yourself. I therefore charge the president of this university to be deliberate in judgment, raise up many students, and build a fence around learning, as my class has done for the last 3,500 years.
Please be seated and welcome the chairman of the Board of Trustees, class of '66, Arthur Golden.
Hello and welcome to you all. We're really delighted to be here to celebrate the historic investiture of Dr. Martin A. Schmidt, class of 1981 at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, as RPI's 19th president. On behalf of the students, faculty, staff, alumni, and trustees of Rensselaer, I want to extend a special welcome to those delegates who are representing academic institutions from around the country. We're really honored that you could be here with us today. I want to especially note the presence of our 18th president of Rensselaer, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, who did so much during her more than 20 years as president to bring us to this point and set the stage for Marty. Thank you also to all of our distinguished speakers today, the members of the Rensselaer community. Thank you for joining us at this significant moment in our almost 200-year history. By your presence, you communicate your partnership with us in educating our students to change the world. Dr. Schmidt is a unifying, visionary leader, a renowned scholar in electrical engineering and computer science, and, perhaps most importantly, an alumnus of RPI class of 1981. We are so fortunate to have him join us and are here at this critical time in the Institute's history. The Board of Trustees and I are absolutely convinced that he is the person to continue to raise, inspire, and further strengthen Rensselaer's place in the world. We are all looking forward to working together with President Schmidt to continue to elevate Rensselaer as a top-tier, world-class teaching and research institution with global reach and global impact. And now, I hope you will enjoy the remarks of the people who have kindly come here today to speak to us. Thank you.
Please welcome United States Congressman from the 21st District of New York, the Honorable Paul Tonko.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure indeed to share a few words with you in celebration of the inauguration of Dr. Martin Schmidt. RPI has a storied history of exceptional leadership, and so it behooves me to first recognize Dr. Schmidt's predecessor and fellow MIT alum, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson. Her mark on this institute and our region will never be forgotten. And as we thank Dr. Jackson for her decades of public service and tireless work to innovate and diversify the field of STEM, I look forward to seeing RPI continue to thrive under the leadership of Dr. Schmidt. I am excited to partner with him in our pursuit of a stronger and a better capital region. I was honored to meet with Dr. Schmidt in August, and we spoke about the endless potential of our region and about the power of our leading educational institutions to shape and improve it. RPI has a fundamental role to play in preparing our future leaders to meet the challenges of tomorrow. As a young child, I remember watching in awe as the Soviet Union launched Sputnik into the cosmos and beat the United States to the starting line of the space race. The determined response to that event from our government and the American people inspired this young kid from Amsterdam and countless others to pursue a career in STEM. With our climate crisis at a tipping point and democratic forces under attack worldwide, I firmly believe we are witnessing a Sputnik moment for a new generation. To meet that moment and to support an innovation economy and maintain our country's vitality and security, we must expand students' understanding of technology and engineering and widen that pipeline to careers in these fields so that a diverse array of talented students can pursue them. We must uplift our leaders of tomorrow to help us with the race on innovation. To that end, I'm proud of the monumental success that we have ushered forth under the Biden administration, from our American Rescue Plan that provided critical COVID relief to communities, schools, businesses, and families, and got our economy back on its feet, to our Inflation Reduction Act that will cut costs, create jobs, and usher our nation into a clean energy future. What's more, our ongoing effort to invest in our communities and in innovation is further bolstered by the bipartisan infrastructure law which will deliver billions to restore and improve our nation's critical infrastructure. And the CHIPS and Science Act, a massive investment in American science and technology. And with Dr. Schmidt's extensive experience in the field of semiconductors and microelectronics, RPI is now even better positioned to take full advantage of the opportunities unleashed by this legislation, a real value added to this great capital region. American economic vitality has always been built on consistent investments in our people, our innovators, and our institutions. RPI has a key role to play in strengthening our region and our nation by training and inspiring the next generation of engineers, clean energy workers, chip manufacturers, and more. I do look forward to continuing to partner with the brilliant, pioneering minds at RPI in the push for a more innovative capital region. And I know that carried forth by the strong leadership of Dr. Schmidt, this great institute is more than up to that task. Thank you again for allowing me to share a few words with you today. And thank you, Dr. Schmidt, for your experience, your passion, and your dedication to this region, its students, and to a better tomorrow. This is a tremendous moment for celebration. Congratulations, and I wish you the very best.
And now, Deputy Director, the Army National Guard, and Class of '03, Major General John C. Andoni.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to be here today to celebrate the inauguration of RPI's new president, Dr. Martin Schmidt. As a 2003 RPI graduate from the Lally School of Management, I'm proud to represent a long line of RPI graduates who have gone on to serve in the military forces of the United States. Those who have served, those currently serving, and those called to service in the future. And as an Army general, in the spirit of joint cooperation, I promise I won't make any Navy jokes, Air Force jokes. I might make an exception for Space Command. So, a long line of innovative and indomitable RPI luminaries whose remarkable contributions to industry, government, and organizations endure will forever inspire us to continue their work and build upon their contributions to our nation. There are great RPI graduates who have served in the military, like Washington Roebling, RPI class of 1857, who served as a civil engineer and supervised the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge. And then, in 1861, enlisted in an artillery battery with the 83rd New York Volunteers, with whom he would see action in numerous Civil War battles, including the battles of Gettysburg. And then we have heroes who paid the ultimate price, like Major General Harry Green, class of 1980, who gave his life in the service of his country on August 5th, 2014 in Kabul, Afghanistan. We honor them today as we welcome RPI's new president. RPI has a strong history of support to the Department of Defense. I witnessed that firsthand when I was here as an assistant professor for military science with the Army ROTC program between 1998 and 2006, when I had the honor of training the next generation of Army officers. RPI has fully supported each service's ROTC program for many years, but that is only a small fraction of what RPI does to support our nation's defense. RPI researchers are collaborating with the Department of Defense on groundbreaking research that will enhance national security, foster international competitiveness, and create the next generation of technological leaders. RPI has attracted funding from the Army Research Laboratory, the Air Force Office of Scientific Research, the Office of Naval Research, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, otherwise known as DARPA, and the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. These agencies fund important work by faculty, researchers, and students in areas including to, but not limited to, high-performance computing, cognitive computing, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, advanced rotorcraft technologies, and aerodynamics. I know many of those folks are in this room today. RPI is also a Tier 1 university partner in the Advanced Robotics for Manufacturing Institute. The ARM Institute, funded by the Office of the Secretary of Defense, is a national consortium of over 330 partners from industry, academia, and government that seeks to make robotics, autonomy, and artificial intelligence more accessible to U.S. manufacturers and the national defense community. The United States must continually assess the capabilities of peer and near-peer competitor nations. One of my roles is to ask and help assess how the U.S. can be best postured to meet adversarial threats and other future challenges. RPI plays a critical role in this by providing the academic and research enterprise to meet those challenges and provide our military forces, the best technological advantages that our country can offer. To Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, President Emerita, thank you for your support of our military programs at RPI, and thank you for your steadfast leadership. God bless you and your family in your future endeavors. Dr. Schmidt, I know that under your leadership, RPI will continue to lead in these endeavors and continue its mission to dare its students to innovate and solve problems and partner together to help the world continue to evolve for the better. Best wishes in your term as president. Thank you.
Next, we welcome the Mayor of the City of Troy, the Honorable Patrick Madden.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you not from Troy, welcome to the City of Troy. It's a beautiful day. Our weather is always like this here in Troy. I am delighted and honored to join the RPI community, welcoming Dr. Schmidt as the 19th president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Congratulations, sir. As well, I am delighted to welcome Dr. Schmidt and his wife, Lynn, to the Troy community. I can only imagine how easy was the decision to trade the view of Gloucester Bay for that of the Hudson River. In all seriousness, welcome to Troy. We are delighted that you are here. The relationship between RPI and the City of Troy goes back almost 200 years. It was hardly a decade after the city's incorporation that prominent city leaders and industrialists formed what would ultimately become Rensselaer, whose faculty and graduates would come to have a hand in most of the scientific and technological advances of the past 2 centuries. Throughout that time, our fortunes have been inextricably linked, and along the way, we have had our ups and downs as different municipal and academic administrations have pushed and pulled with each other in ways both good and bad. I've heard it said many times that a town-gown relationship is similar to an arranged marriage, one that neither partner can end. Each partner has to make the marriage work regardless of how they feel about one another. With all due respect to the cultural institution of arranged marriages, I think that's a dreadful and unfortunate analogy. It frames the relationship as one of begrudging acceptance, of making the best of a less than desirable situation, a situation not of one's choosing. It is based in a mindset of tolerance instead of a mindset of possibilities, of aspiration. We know better, though. We know that when universities and their host cities really sync, the benefits of such a relationship can be plentiful for both. But it rests on 2 absolutely essential underpinnings. First, that both parties understand that together we can be more than the sum of our parts. And secondly, and critically, that these benefits are more likely to be realized if they are systematically pursued rather than left to chance. And so it is with great excitement that my early conversations with President Schmidt reveal that our views are aligned. We are both of the mind that strong town-gown relationships create strength for both partners. A productive town-gown relationship should be highly prized for the contribution it makes to the academic enterprise and learning experiences that benefit the students, and for the prosperity and quality of life it creates for the community. And importantly, we share the view that good intentions alone are not sufficient. I look forward to working with President Schmidt and his team to build upon and cement a mutually beneficial relationship between the city and this great institution, one that serves as a model to others and one that also endures to serve the generations who will follow us. Again, I offer my congratulations to President Schmidt and Lynn and the entire RPI community. So yes, why not change the world, starting right here in Troy, New York? Thank you for your attention.
From the RPI class of '07, the co-founder and CEO of Ecovative and MyForest Foods, Eben Bayer.
Hey everyone, so good to be here. So I run a company called Ecovative. We grow mushrooms. Specifically, we grow better materials using mycelium biology in markets like packaging, leather, and fashion, as well as meatless meats at a global scale. 15 years ago, I graduated from RPI, and with co-founder Gavin McIntyre, we started this company and created a new field of material science. My journey as an innovator and an entrepreneur started in Vermont, being born and growing up on a small, isolated Vermont farm. Folks may not realize this, but farming is one of the most innovative and entrepreneurial professions. It involved problem solving, creativity, and many challenges, and historically has created many inventors and entrepreneurs who often studied at technical schools like RPI. The realization I wanted to be an inventor and an innovator and an entrepreneur started here. And it was here at RPI that I met the people and learned the skills I needed to live that life. RPI has remained a geographical and philosophical fixture for myself and my co-founder Gavin ever since. When I first visited Rensselaer as a prospective student, I was drawn to the path it offered for innovation and entrepreneurship. I took a class called Inventor Studio with Bert Swersey, whose don't do nonsense approach still informs our companies today. This has now expanded to 3 studio courses, and several of the staff at Ecovative have gone through the Inventor Studio before joining our team. As I know, when I took the course in '07, there was only one Inventor Studio. I took it in the fall, and Bert threatened to fail me if I didn't take it again and then launch a company, which I did. But I'm glad that today students get 3 official bites at that apple as they've expanded the studio. I personally very much enjoyed the meat grinder of technical studies, which came with the opportunity to work on and build some really fun projects. Thermals and fluids was my favorite class. I loved the challenge of directing the relationship of energy and material flows in the world at a massive scale. I didn't enjoy all of them. Diffie-Q kind of haunts me to this day, and I really wish I'd paid more attention in statistics. RPI has educated generations of creators who seek to control and improve the global flow of energy and materials on this planet. I became obsessed with that idea at Rensselaer and have been pursuing it using natural technology. My senior year at Rensselaer, I founded Ecovative, the direct result of taking Inventor Studio with Bert Swersey. And I wouldn't have started Ecovative without that influence. Both the skills I learned in that class and the literal persistence of this professor who, after I'd left school, graduated, gone home, was ready to start my full-time summer job, called me every day for a week to convince me to quit. Finally found $3,500 in some school budget somewhere, called me the morning I was going to work the first day and told me he'd found me $3,500 because I told him I needed money. And lo and behold, I drove to work that morning in Vermont, I quit my job, and I started work on Ecovative. We have very special people here. RPI is the oldest technical school in the English-speaking world, and it's done a lot of innovation over the past 200 years. I'm really looking forward to seeing that influence and support continue to grow under President Schmidt's leadership, whether by generating valuable new IP, doubling down on supporting the students that come through this place, and giving them the resources and freedoms to dream of new worlds and start new companies. And of course, a sense of home, no matter where their work takes us. I've had a chance to meet President Schmidt a few times in the recent months, most recently when he kindly attended the ribbon cutting at Swersey Silos, our new scaled-up factory making millions of pounds of mycelium bacon and leather each year. I was touched by his participation on a number of levels, including that it reflects the RPI spirit of connecting directly with local industry, community, and keeping the flywheel of entrepreneurship and innovation going both inside and outside the institution. So here's to another cycle of instruction, creation, and planetary scale change. Thank you.
Please welcome Chief Engineer, Executive Vice President, Engineering, Test, and Technology for the Boeing Company, Gregory Highslop.
Good afternoon. It's an honor and privilege to be here for President Schmidt's investiture. From the beginning of the aerospace industry and the beginning of the Boeing Company, the partnership with leading universities has been instrumental. In a famous conversation between the first chief engineer at Boeing, Claire Egvet, and Bill Boeing, that occurred when the young company was at a crossroads, it's reported that Claire told Mr. Boeing, "We're building airplanes, not cement sidewalks. If you want to build cement sidewalks and just do work requiring a minimum of engineering, then you can do away with engineering. Just mix the materials, pour them into a form, and collect your money. But if you want to build and sell airplanes, you first have to create them. That takes research, development, testing, and engineering." Boeing spoke next when he said, "I think Claire has it right." Aerospace has been the source of some of the toughest engineering problems. It was that way when the industry started over a century ago, and it remains that way today. The ability for people of different cultures to connect with each other via air travel is something that is good for humanity. Our challenge today is to allow the 80% of the world's population who have yet to experience flight to do so in an environmentally sustainable way. This is the type of big problem that will require the best minds in industry and academia. I've had the pleasure of working with President Schmidt in the past, and he fully understands the importance of these relationships with industry and the benefits they bring to the academic community. Today, we're proud to have over 300 Rensselaer alumni employed with Boeing, including the chief engineer for Boeing Defense, Space, and Security, Dr. Naveed Hussain. The value of a Rensselaer degree remains strong. Our collaborations in the past with Rensselaer will provide a strong foundation for the work ahead to create a future in which safe, sustainable, and reliable air travel is accessible across the world. And I have no doubt, under the leadership of President Schmidt, Rensselaer will continue to help us advance the second century of aerospace. President Schmidt, my sincerest congratulations on your investiture. You're at the helm of a rich tradition, and I look forward to seeing how we will change the world together. Thank you.
And now, our distinguished guests from academic institutions. Please welcome the president of MIT, Dr. L. Rafael Reif.
Good afternoon, and warm greetings to President Schmidt and to the Rensselaer community from MIT. On an occasion of such importance, it pains me that I'm only able to join you in 2 dimensions. But MIT's Board of Trustees has a certain way of insisting on my presence here in Cambridge. However, as some of you will remember, I was in this same hall last spring for your wonderful farewell tribute to another remarkable RPI leader, President Emerita Shirley Jackson. It's hard to imagine 2 individuals more deeply tied to our 2 institutes, or who better exemplify our institutional ideals than Dr. Jackson and President Schmidt. Indeed, because RPI and MIT share such deep roots in science and engineering, we naturally share certain passionate interests and fundamental values. But there is one thing that the people of RPI love even more than we do, and that is hockey. I expect you already know that President Schmidt and the entire Schmidt family are enormous hockey fans. The big red freakout just got a little bigger. Now you may have detected that my accent is not a Boston accent. I also confess that my home country, Venezuela, is not a hockey powerhouse. And I still cannot understand the idea behind a hockey rink, a building that is designed to make winter even colder. But I've lived in New England long enough to understand that certain aspects of hockey culture go a long way to explaining President Schmidt's incredible character. To start with, he's simply unstoppable, steady, strategic, rock-solid, calm, never complains, possibly never sleeps, never quits, and he keeps the rest of us moving too. He's also a magnificent team player. In fact, I've been told that the most beautiful thing in all of ice hockey is the assist, the brilliant, generous pass that allows another player to score. And he has demonstrated this same incredible generosity of character time after time, doing more than his share of the work and making sure everyone else gets the credit. I have no doubt that your community will come to enjoy and appreciate all these qualities. But there is one more that I would like to highlight, a quality that I know will make him an outstanding leader for RPI. As I've come to understand, in hockey, the great players don't skate to where the puck is, they skate to where the puck will be. In effect, they can see the future, so they can lead the whole team to get in position in time, which is not a bad way to encapsulate the president's job at a future-oriented place like RPI. At MIT, we came to rely on his capacity to perceive where the world was headed. As we recovered after the global financial meltdown, as we made a decisive investment in nanotechnology, as we cultivated our region's innovation ecosystem, as we reshaped MIT to prepare for the ascendance of computing and AI, as we felt our way through the uncertainty of the pandemic, and as we embraced the challenge of making our community more welcoming and inclusive. Over and over, he helped us read the landscape and position the Institute for future success. And I have every confidence that this same spirit and vision will help RPI continue to flourish as well. So to the Rensselaer community, congratulations and best wishes. You have chosen very well indeed. And to President Schmidt, the guy we used to know as Marty, and to his delightful wife, Lynn, we are so sorry to lose you, but so glad you have returned to your perfect home. Thank you and congratulations.
Our next distinguished guest, please welcome the President Emerita of Spelman College, Dr. Mary Schmidt Campbell.
Good afternoon. Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute is a great school, and today we celebrate the inauguration of a gifted leader, Dr. Marty Schmidt, Rensselaer class of 1981. President Schmidt follows departing President Dr. Shirley Jackson, whom I've had the privilege of knowing for over 40 years. One great leader steps down, another, destined for presidential greatness, steps up to take her place. Now, how can I make these observations about greatness with such confidence? Well, for one, I've had the privilege of watching RPI's excellence through the lens of my spouse, Dr. George Campbell, Jr., President Emeritus of the Cooper Union for the Advancement of Science and Art. George served on the RPI board for over 3 decades and is now Trustee Emeritus. And from his perspective, I experienced RPI's remarkable transformation during that time, an elevation that only accelerated in the last 20 years. Beyond George's affiliation, however, RPI was known to me from my vantage point at New York University. As Dean of NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, I remember watching enviously as this magnificent building that we occupy today came into being, the Experimental Media Performing Arts Center. IMPACT, as it's fondly called here on campus, embodies the kind of disruptive union of art and science that art schools have always longed to create. The fact that a facility like this one that drives creativity and innovation thrives at an engineering school is a potent testament to the expansiveness and the expectations RPI has set for itself. Today, we celebrate the beginning of a new era. President Schmidt comes to RPI, or I should say comes back to RPI, with the kind of experience, determination, and moral clarity needed to continue to propel the school even further and higher. And how can I say that so confidently? During my tenure as president of Spelman College, I had the great privilege of meeting Dr. Schmidt when he was provost at MIT. He and the MIT chancellor at the time asked to visit Spelman's campus. And during their visit and in the subsequent follow-up, I witnessed his profound understanding that when a leader in a large university takes personal responsibility for the success of an institutional goal, he inspires in those around him an appetite for real change. One of Dr. Schmidt's goals as MIT provost was to seek out excellence around the country and leverage that excellence to make MIT, already a leading school, even greater by growing and cultivating a more inclusive and diverse faculty and student body population. As a new president here at RPI, it's one of his goals here as well. When he came down to Atlanta from Cambridge, he and his chancellor had done their homework. They were well aware that Spelman, a leading liberal arts college for Black women, also, according to the National Science Foundation, was the leading producer in the country of Black women who earned Ph.D.s in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM fields. Mind you, that's with a student body population, half of which is Pell eligible. Dr. Schmidt's intent was to make use of his institutional excellence to leverage and amplify the excellence of our small liberal arts college, accomplishing what neither of us could on our own, and that is priming the pipeline of highly competitive students of color, and in the process, strengthening MIT as well as Spelman. My experience with Dr. Schmidt told me a lot about him. He was willing, in fact, relished solving a big, bold, intractable problem. He was curious about how others might have approached that problem. He was tenacious, despite a worldwide pandemic, in seeing his commitment through. His engagement was personal, meaningful, and productive. And that is exactly the kind of leadership we need at this historic moment in higher education. As we near the end of the first quarter of the 21st century, we rightly celebrate schools like RPI, bastions of the best and the brightest. With your high graduation rates, growing applicant pool, shrinking selectivity rate, your outsized academic and research outcomes, and the success of your graduates, RPI rightly lays claim to its eminence in the world with enormous pride, and why not? Research One institutions like RPI should be especially proud to be at the forefront of the creation of new knowledge and the expansion of our understanding of scientific truth. Yet, as we near the end of the first quarter of the 21st century, and on the occasion of inaugurating a new leader, recent tumultuous events in this country and abroad cast a shadow that none of us can ignore. Global pandemic, racial reckoning, very real threats to democracy suggest there are newly urgent problems that require our attention, even as we continue to grapple with those we've not yet solved completely. COVID, for example, demonstrated emphatically that there's a divide between those who believe in scientific fact and those who do not. Those who do not disdain all kinds of precautions, including the efficacy of vaccines, leaving the United States with one of the worst death rates from COVID in the developed world. Higher education itself continues to be the object of growing divides. There are deep differences on the one hand between those who believe that legislators have the right to determine what to teach, whom to hire, what faculty can and cannot say on certain topics, and on the other hand, those of us who still believe in the autonomy and ethical expertise of our educational institutions on such matters. Recent surveys reveal that there's a growing divide between those who believe that a college education is worth the cost and those who do not. Evidence of that divide shows up in declining enrollments for some colleges, and a growing number of high school graduates who are electing to bypass college altogether as an option. What role do colleges have themselves in communicating the lifelong value of a college degree? In the wake of rising costs, what is the responsibility of colleges and universities in keeping higher education, one of our country's most potent engines of social mobility, affordable and accessible? Those who are charged with leading great schools like RPI, MIT, Spelman, NYU, nurture and cultivate astonishing excellence. At this country's Research One universities, campuses have enabled everything from the rapid development of the COVID vaccine to inroads on controlling climate change or discovering new uses for AI and machine learning. The capacity of our campuses to provide social mobility continues to make this country a place where opportunity thrives. Our colleges continue to produce leaders who graduate with the capacity for critical thinking skills, resilience, and the capacity for innovation and problem solving. We cannot give up any part of that responsibility, even as we acknowledge that the world has handed us new challenges. At this moment, it is clear why we need leaders with moral clarity and determination. Leaders who are fearless about tackling the big problems. It's clear we need leaders who will step up personally to ask the difficult questions, seek out the answers, and inspire everyone in the RPI community and beyond to engage in the work of making meaningful change. Seeing what President Schmidt has accomplished throughout a long and distinguished academic career, and having had the experience, albeit brief, of working with him and his team, I can say again with great confidence that RPI has chosen a gifted leader destined to become a great college president. President Schmidt, congratulations. I wish you all the best.
And now, our student speakers. Please welcome our 156th Grand Marshal, RPI Class of 22, Caitlin Bennett.
Every day, I get asked the same question by students, faculty, staff, and alumni. Is Marty really that cool? It's an honest, if skeptical question, because everyone can feel the energy around campus. While it's hard not to be impressed with his credentials, RPI students are more interested in Marty's character. As the Grand Marshal, or student body president, I had the unique opportunity to get to know Marty as a candidate and later as president. Here's why Marty really is that cool. He's humble, he's authentic, and he is a man of action. Socrates once said, "True knowledge exists in knowing that you know nothing." Simply put, humble leaders must be willing to learn from those around them. Marty is a self-described lifelong learner. It's the second thing that I wrote down about him during his candidate interview. The first was loves hockey. His commitment to lifelong learning makes him a humble leader. As many know, his beginning at RPI has begun with a set of ongoing listening and learning tours where he connects with hundreds of students, faculty, staff, and alumni every day. Marty decided to embrace what he didn't know as an opportunity for growth so that he could best serve his alma mater. From my interactions with him, I can tell that Marty's humility comes from his authenticity. When he entered his candidate interview and was introduced formally, he turned to the committee and said, "Call me Marty, it's fine." It was the first sign that he would be a down-to-earth and humble leader. As a candidate, he also asked the student interviewers directly about the challenges we face at RPI. As president, Marty is often seen around the union, at our career fair, or greeting students at the Troy building, and he is always good for a smile and a wave. Humility and authenticity, however, mean little without tangible action. Our students and alumni are composed of scientific minds, so we believe that actions speak louder than words. Simply put, Marty is a man of action. His passions have all resulted in tangible community impacts. For example, at MIT, his passion for education was channeled into massive accessible education initiative, edX. When Marty commits to something, you know that he will follow through. So when people ask me, is Marty really that cool? I don't just tell them about this humble, authentic man of action. I tell them about how he brought his 2 dogs to the freshman barbecue. And I tell them about how he uses the same backpack that most RPI students do. RPI has been invigorated by Marty's presence, yet it has also been grounded by it. In our first few meetings, I heard about Marty's vision for a diverse yet unified campus, and there are many challenges that come with that type of grand vision, including shared governance and service-based leadership. Marty has demonstrated his belief that a leader is only as strong as his team, and that team includes all of you. Our strength as a community is defined not just by what unifies us, but what diversifies us. With Marty at the helm and all of Rensselaer alongside him, I cannot wait to see how our institute will grow together.
Please welcome RPI's Graduate Council President and Class of 24, Christoph McIntosh.
Good morning. So, as Graduate Council President and an advocate on behalf of grad students at RPI for over 4 years now, I've learned much about the face of our grad student body and have gained profound insight into the type of people our grad students are. Now, while this is true of our entire student body, RPI's grads are some of the most intelligent, creative, and hardworking people you will find anywhere. But the thing I appreciate the most about our grad students is the wealth of interesting perspectives that they bring to this campus. The grads here are a culturally diverse group of scholars from all over the world, each with a unique set of ideas, knowledge, and insights. And this wonderful, diverse group of students are constantly putting these skills to use to ensure that RPI remains a leader in scientific innovation, even if some of us do not immediately notice. To that point, my deepest investment as a student leader is to make grad students more widely known and appreciated for all the hard work they do to advance this institution. So when I learned that a man named Marty Schmidt was to take up the mantle of RPI as president, I knew that I had to find out what he was about. I wanted to know what this new president was going to bring to this campus. I wanted to know what his feelings were regarding RPI students, particularly grad students, and if he realized exactly what he held in his hands with his position. I had that opportunity to meet with Dr. Schmidt a few short weeks ago, and when I walked away from that meeting, I began to realize that one of his central ideals really resonated with me. His vision of creating a diverse, inclusive, and engaged student body. So his approachability and his fierce enthusiasm for education and research are surely worth merit. Even more important, though, is his commitment to promoting inclusiveness, connectedness, and relatedness among RPI student body. Dr. Schmidt clearly understands that diversity breeds innovation, and the graduate student population is proof of that principle. Under his leadership, I have hope that this institute will not only grow as a leader in innovation, but as a shining example of how a diverse group of minds with numerous different perspectives, all working toward the future together, can thrive as one Rensselaer. So I welcome you, President Schmidt, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Please welcome the president of the Rensselaer Alumni Association from the class of 2010, Meghan Lenahan Moulder.
Good afternoon. It is my honor to be here representing the over 105,000 alumni and welcoming Dr. Schmidt as the 19th president of Rensselaer. I had the great pleasure of meeting President Schmidt and his wife Lynn about a month ago in Washington, D.C. And I have to say, it was the best lunch meeting I've ever had, so thank you both for that. During our conversation, we covered a myriad of topics, including Dr. Schmidt's listening and learning sessions on campus, his vision for RPI, Troy, and the Capital Region, and of course, the beloved Schmidt dogs. What struck me the most was President Schmidt's focus on innovative ways to teach and mentor students, as well as his desire to embed entrepreneurship into the student experience. Our discussion also made me realize that Dr. Schmidt and his team cannot do all of this on their own. That is where we, as current and future alumni, come in. The mission of the Rensselaer Alumni Association is to connect and grow our alumni community while investing in the Rensselaer of tomorrow. Our active participation is going to be key in making this mission and President Schmidt's goal of one Rensselaer come to life. Our support of the Institute helps to drive the success of our students. Many people have asked me why I assumed the role of the president of the RAA. There's one reason I would like to share with you today. As an undergraduate, I was chosen to present my research at a conference in India, fully sponsored by an anonymous alum. Their generosity in this opportunity shaped my future in so many ways, and for that, I am forever grateful. Alumni support had a tremendous impact on me, and because of this, I stand before you today in this role, proudly giving back to my alma mater in any way I can. At the New York City presidential event, President Schmidt was asked, "How can alumni support your vision of one Rensselaer?" When answering this question, he talked about the important impact of alumni on the U.S. News and World Report rankings. In September, the report was published, and year over year, we moved from 55th to 51st in the rankings. How can we help move the needle even further? Alumni participation and giving is one criteria used in ranking, and every donation by an alum is like a vote for RPI, and now a vote for Dr. Schmidt. This participation can be to student scholarships, the annual fund, Greek life, or any other area that is of personal interest to you. There are also other ways of making an impact on our rankings, such as identifying and creating jobs and internships for our students, or sharing expertise as a guest lecturer or mentor. These directly impact student outcomes as well as faculty resources, two areas that make up a large percentage of the rankings. I asked you to please join me in investing in President Schmidt, our students, faculty, staff, and our institute by finding a way to give back in support of our alma mater. Many people have been asking President Schmidt why he chose to accept the role of the 19th president of RPI. He shared that one of the reasons is that this is something he and Lynn can do together. After meeting you both and hearing how you've embraced your new home in Troy, our alma mater could not be in better hands. Your humility, authenticity, and passion about the students, alumni, and our institute is inspiring, and we are looking forward to working together to advance your vision for one Rensselaer. On behalf of the Rensselaer Alumni Association, we, as one Rensselaer Alumni Association, welcome you back to your alma mater. We are proud to be part of the legacy you are about to create here at RPI. Again, congratulations for more than 105,000 alumni throughout the nation and around the world. Thank you.
And now, from the RPI staff, please welcome Executive Director for Health and Wellness and Rensselaer Pillar 2021, Dr. Leslie Lawrence.
Good afternoon. Oh, great, I'm glad I got the applause. I guess my comments are over. So, no, I really am honored to be asked to speak at President Schmidt's inauguration on behalf of the staff here at Rensselaer. I'm thrilled to be up here with all these distinguished guests, Board of Trustee members, and all these other noted members of the Rensselaer and surrounding community. Not sure I really belong. Dr. Schmidt, what a wonderful time for you to come to Rensselaer. As we can see from the date on our crest, just a year and a half until our bicentennial. And we're really looking forward to that. So that means you got a year and a half to get everything done. So no problem, lots of time there. Well, President Schmidt, he's already injected a lot of hope in our community here at Rensselaer. You can feel it out on the campus. You can see it with our students, with our staff, with our faculty, with our alumni. He's even affected people who aren't here yet, who aren't part of the Rensselaer community. I received a call in August from a father whose son is a senior in high school and was looking at only STEM-dominant institutions. And he said, we've really kind of settled on RPI because we love, everything else but electrical engineering that my son wants to do that you have at RPI. But then he went on to point out, and we especially love that you're bringing in a new president who used to be provost of MIT. So I asked him why that was so important to him. He said, well, I'm alumnus of MIT. And he goes, your last president was from MIT too, you know. And I'm glad he, like I wouldn't know that. So Dr. Schmidt, you've already brought in one student for next year. So I think enrollment owes you. So I also heard one of our current students, that's what I do. I work with students all day. That's my job in health. And so I was talking to a student about what their view on Dr. Schmidt was. And so they were telling me that they were really, really impressed. They were impressed because they felt he really listened. They also were impressed because they felt he gave it real thought after they spoke and he listened. And I said, yeah, I've experienced the same thing. Our new president has inspired a lot of hope and enthusiasm and excitement here at the Rensselaer community. There's hope that the university will move forward and will be elevated even farther than it is. There is hope that the university will become even more welcoming than it already is. There's hope that all the members of our community can come together and work as one, and that no one will be left feeling disenfranchised. There is hope that Rensselaer will be, with renewed vigor, will be able to help the city of Troy and the surrounding area as we work together to enrich the area. There's hope that our research will expand even further and help mankind even more. However, as a physician, I can tell you that hope won't get it done, right? Hope, many of us think hope is sitting at home with our feet up and wishing things will get better. That's not my definition of hope. My definition of hope is a little different. Hope, it gives us energy. We have to use that energy, and we have to use that energy by helping our new president. He's going to lay out a vision for us. We've got to use the energy and the vigor that we feel from that hope and help pull in that same direction once we have that vision established. Many of us have met President Schmidt at his listening and learning sessions. Many of us have given him ideas on what we think should change. This should change, that should change, this should be different. We've given him honest ideas about what our aspirations for the university are going forward. But I want to ask each of us to use that energy and hope and excitement I've talked about before to work together in a unified way to help us get to those visions. It's not enough to just sit down and say what we think the university should become. We have to work towards that goal. Lastly, I would like to further ask all students, staff, and faculty to remain patient. I made the joke about we have a year and a half to get everything done. That is a joke, right? We can't get everything done in a short period of time. We're going to need all of us to pull together and be patient, and work hard, and if we do, we can get there. President Schmidt, on the behalf of the entire staff, I want to welcome you to RPI, and thank you.
Please welcome the President of the Faculty Senate, Dr. Nishta Langer.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm told that this is a very solemn occasion, so I should not be telling any jokes, so I won't. Dear President Schmidt and esteemed guests, a very warm welcome. On behalf of my faculty colleagues, it gives me an immense pleasure to stand here today and welcome back, especially you, back to RPI. We represent the twin pillars on which any university stands, research and teaching, and which we are focused on in this morning's academic symposia. For us, these two words, research and teaching, are not just jobs to be done. They are a calling. We bring in expertise that creates a better world. At RPI, we ask, why not change the world? Well, we change it every day. We change it in the labs, we change it in the classrooms. We bring with us expertise in research and pedagogy that is exceptional, as some of you may remember when you yourself were a student here. I remember Dr. Schmidt telling us the anecdote of how MIT faculty wanted to understand how RPI faculty taught physics. Well, not just physics, we do teaching well here. We innovate in how we teach, we gamify and experiment with experiential learning, we flip the classroom. But more so because we care about the students deeply. We are an inclusive community in more ways than one. We know that one size does not fit all. We welcome and spur the desire to learn and to excel. You see before you those of us who go beyond the classroom to foster curiosity. We help create leaders of tomorrow, and they're already changing the world. Job done? No, we're just getting started. We also bring in our intellectual expertise as researchers. We are RPI after all. We are overachievers, so I guess we are all in the right place. From helping humans reach the moon, to understanding the challenges of today and tomorrow, whether it's climate change, artificial intelligence, computational science, engineering and technology, national or global security, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we are prepared for them. We have been pioneers and we continue to be. We're not just sitting in the ivory towers, or as most of my classes are up the hill and I'm in the Pittsburgh building, climbing the hill of the Sage Avenue. We work on understanding the world as it changes around us. One thing, we are truly interdisciplinary, we are diverse in our thoughts and where we come from. That is amply indicated by our new research thrust, but we are also united in our endeavors towards excellence. They say change is a scary word. We say bring it on. Let's change the world, and we do it through stellar achievements in the world of research. Sitting before me and behind me are my colleagues who are well respected in their domains, and those of us who are eager to make their mark. It truly humbles me to be part of this community. The final words from me, as I'm told, I only have 4 minutes, so I have to say the rest really, really, really fast. Or, President Schmidt, as you take on helm of RPI, you do not do it alone. We are here to support you. We aim to commit to and build on our in-house faculty expertise and excellence. We have an amazing faculty who can be the basis of whatever our RPI's priorities are going forward. We don't have to plan for the future from scratch because we already have a phenomenal foundation of excellence through the faculty. We, the faculty, from science and engineering, from architecture, from humanities, arts, and social sciences, and from, dare I say, the dark and exciting world of business and management. We are here and we are ready. You can perhaps tell that we are very excited to have you here and look forward to building a great future together. In closing, finally in closing, I would like to quote Malcolm X, who said, "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." At RPI, the first technological university in the nation, we are more than ready to take the world to the future. Let's do it. Let's be the first and the best. Thank you.
For the presentation of the President, please welcome Trustee and Chair of the Presidential Search Committee and Class of '78, the Honorable John E. Kelly III.
Well, good afternoon to all of our distinguished campus, local, and national delegates, and to the entire global RPI community. It is an honor and a true pleasure to welcome you here today for the investiture of Dr. Martin A. Schmidt as the 19th president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. As an RPI trustee and chair of the Presidential Search Committee, this is an especially gratifying occasion for me. When our board began its search process in the summer of '21, we knew we had a daunting task ahead of us in finding someone who could build on the strong foundation provided by previous leaders, including Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, who is with us here today, to usher this institute and the international community of Rensselaer alums into the 3rd century. After a very rigorous and thorough search process in which we considered many very impressive candidates, the Board of Trustees reached an overwhelming conclusion. Dr. Schmidt was the right leader to guide Rensselaer forward. President Schmidt joins us from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, as you've heard, where he served as provost since 2014. In addition to his role as senior academic and budget officer, as if that wasn't enough, he led many of MIT's efforts to foster an inclusive and supportive community, providing leaders across the campus with the resources to improve the climate within their academic areas, undertaking a major restructuring of the Institute Community and Equity Office, and overseeing the development of an institute-wide strategic action plan for diversity, equity, and inclusion. At the same time, as you heard from President Reif, he played a central role in the creation of the Stephen A. Schwarzman College of Computing, which represented the most significant organization change in MIT in 70 years. It will ultimately result in the hiring of 50 new faculty dedicated to building bridges between computer science and other disciplines, and fostering a focus on social and ethical issues and implications of computing. He also co-chaired, along with the provost of Harvard University, the board of edX, a massive online course provider. He was instrumental in spinning off edX to a commercial partner so that substantial proceeds could then be used to develop a nonprofit open source learning platform to assist learners who are not well served by current online platforms. Prior to joining MIT senior administration, Dr. Schmidt spent more than 2 decades on the faculty of MIT in the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. During his time as a researcher and educator, he was issued 30 U.S. patents, participated in the founding of 7 companies, and partnered with industry collaborators such as 3M, Bosch, General Motors, and I will say IBM. He also served as director of MIT's Microsystems Technology Laboratories from 1999 to 2006. His early research interests in microelectronics evolved to include miniature sensors for use in industry, chemistry, and biotechnology. President Schmidt earned his master's degree largely for research conducted at Lincoln Laboratory in 1983, and a Ph.D. in 1988, both in electrical engineering and computer science from MIT. But his academic and professional journey began right here at RPI in 1977. He graduated with a bachelor's in science and electrical engineering in 1981. We are delighted that Dr. Martin A. Schmidt has chosen to return home to lead his alma mater. And we're also thrilled that his wife Lynn and family have joined, and we have quite a first family here on campus. President Schmidt, would you please join me at the podium? And Chairman Golden, would you also please join me to give the board's charge to the new president? Thank you.
Well, I guess now that we've had all the kudos for Marty, all of which are richly deserved, the time has come to make everything legal and formal and legitimate. So let me begin. Dr. Martin A. Schmidt, the Rensselaer Board of Trustees, has unanimously selected you as the 19th president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and charges you with bringing this university forward and guiding it to a sound future built upon our 198-year heritage of service to society, to the individual, to future generations of students, and to learners of all kinds. As we approach our bicentennial in now less than 2 years, Rensselaer must continue to be an internationally renowned technological research university, admired by all for its contributions to education, research, and service in support of peace and prosperity in our global community. Your unique role, sounds like something from Mission Impossible here, will be to harness the talent that is abundant in our staff, our great faculty, students, alumni, and friends. To help us, will be part of your charge to help us continue to articulate a direction and sense of mission for Rensselaer and to put into action the dreams we all have for the future. Going further, to challenge and encourage the university to find new ways of interacting and engaging with the community, the region, and beyond, and to help us welcome a new generation of outstanding scholars, learners, and students to our community. Rensselaer has a long and distinguished history of innovation in education, and we must continue to be at the forefront of our nation's universities. By collaborating with external sponsors and partners in government, foundations, and industry, our researchers are working on and solving the most pressing issues of our time. They need your support to help expand our efforts and footprint in strategic areas of importance to our university and to the world. We need to build and strengthen the pathways of innovation that enable the many great ideas generated on this campus to go out and impact the world. We will continue to work closely with our partners throughout the area to advance the economic development of this region, and we will ensure that we continue to have a welcoming and inclusive environment that attracts the very best talent and enables them to do their greatest work. You are following in the footsteps of presidents who have guided Rensselaer since its founding in 1824. Like them, you have a strong and dedicated faculty upon which to draw, enthusiastic and committed students, loyal and talented alumni, willing and talented staff, and the good wishes of Troy, the capital region, the state of New York, and national and international communities. Like them, you will be asked to help Rensselaer continue its long, almost 2 centuries long, tradition of service to the community, to our country, and to the world. Rensselaer's parents have been strong individuals. They have contributed a unique perspective to the administration of Rensselaer, have helped RPI respond to the changes in the larger community, and have brought their particular visions for this outstanding institution to its daily activities. And it is for your unique ability to lead Rensselaer further in designing its destiny in the 21st century as a world-class university in a highly technological society that Rensselaer's Board of Trustees has chosen you. Our charge to you, then, is to use your talents, your extensive knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, your compassion, and even your sense of humor for the betterment of Rensselaer, higher education, and society. I'm waiting for the bling. Now I would like to ask the real stars of the family, Lynn Schmidt and their 4 sons, Derek, Brian, Kevin, and Daniel, to join us. Almost have a complete hockey team here. Dr. Martin Schmidt, you have served as Rensselaer's 19th president since July 1, 2022. It's now legal and official today by the authority of the trustees vested in me as chairman of the Board of Trustees and in the presence of all of those assembled here, students, faculty, administrative staff, alumni, friends, and family of Rensselaer, as well as those from fellow colleges and universities who were kind enough to join us. I formally grant to you all the powers, rights, privileges, and duties and responsibilities of the presidency of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. I've already given you the medallion, but you will safeguard it and wear it at all your official duties. And looking at it, I think we need to take out some insurance on it. But congratulations to all of you. Honored guests, I present to you the 19th president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute.
Wow. I'm truly overwhelmed. But let me actually begin with some thanks and acknowledgments. I want to thank all of our speakers this afternoon,
for your extraordinarily kind words. And welcome to the delegates from other colleges and universities and the armed forces that have joined us today. I'm very grateful to Chairman Golden, our trustees, and the search committee for giving me this amazing, amazing opportunity. And I'm very, very appreciative of the advice given to me by Rensselaer's 18th president, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, and the many ways that she has transformed this university. I also want to thank dearly the organizers of today's events and this weekend. Everybody's very busy, especially at the beginning of the semester, and to rediscover how to do an inaugural ceremony after 23 years was a Herculean effort of many WebExes and walkthroughs, and I'm just deeply grateful for everyone taking time from their very busy time or jobs to make this happen. And of course, I thank my family for their enthusiasm and support. It really does, for us, feel like a family affair. Lynn's been a great partner with me in this job and on the road as we get to know RPI's alumni. And every one of our 4 sons has taken a keen interest in RPI, including the swag. So you can expect to see them here a lot, especially now that hockey season has begun. Lastly, I want to thank the entire RPI community for being so warm and welcoming to Lynn and me and our family, and of course our dogs. And as Lynn likes to say, part of her job is to keep me grounded, and one aspect of that was we discovered that the picture of the dogs were posted on Instagram yesterday, the day before, and Easton and Jofa got more likes than I did, or I ever did, but I'm cool with that. It's a thrill to be back on this beautiful campus and to see how far it's progressed. And Mayor Madden, the city of Troy, has progressed since I left here in June of 1981 for graduate school at MIT. Arriving at RPI in 1977, as a 17-year-old kid from northeastern Pennsylvania, never could have expected to return as president. My freshman roommate from Bray Hall is here today, George Emery, and I'm sure he would attest to that statement. But I did learn something very important at RPI that led me to this amazing day, the value of hard work and of sticking to it. Since assuming this role on July 1, as you've heard, I've been on a listening and learning tour to get to know the Rensselaer of today. For the learning part, I've toured nearly every building on campus, poking my head into classrooms, labs, offices, maybe even a few utility closets. I've also been spending a day with each school, asking the deans to introduce me to their particular challenges and opportunities. For the listening part, as you've heard, I've had meetings with faculty, staff, and students in small groups. I estimate it's a total of more than 1,000 people that I've met with in more than about 50 or 60 meetings, as well with alumni, as Meghan mentioned, around the country through the presidential tour. Thus far, we've been to Washington, D.C., New York City, and Boston, met with more than 700 alumni, parents, and friends. And we'll be going to many more cities at home and abroad in the future. So, what have I learned from all these meetings? I certainly have learned that critical thinking and hard work still characterizes the kind of education Rensselaer offers. And the willingness to work hard still characterizes our students. As one faculty member put it, I have never met a student who expected RPI to be easy, but that's not a deal breaker for them. To my mind, greatness in a university takes 3 things: brilliant people, sufficient resources, and a shared sense of purpose. And my listening tour has helped me take stock of these things. RPI is beyond strong on the people front, but let me elaborate on that, drawing from what I've heard over and over, which is how much people love their colleagues at RPI. The faculty rave about working with each other, including across departments and schools, and they find RPI's low walls to collaboration unique in their experience. Our staff members deeply value and appreciate their colleagues. Indeed, one staff member said their collaborations with colleagues were magical. The students see working in teams and supporting each other as one of the best aspects of their time here. While the students will tell you, RPI is hard, but we suffer together. What I've observed is that RPI is hard, but they succeed together. As an expression of student solidarity, I heard the phrase, "We're all nerds," more than once. And the wonderful thing is, at the same time, RPI students are the opposite of homogeneous. Some are amazing athletes, others are musicians, gamers, artists, makers, and software developers. But underneath, there is that common bond of intellectual curiosity. As one student leader put it, every student has that thing that makes them so RPI, a fascination with something. And these separate fascinations add up to a genuinely fascinating community. Beyond each group's delight in their peers, there is tremendous mutual respect between the faculty, staff, and students, a culture of collaboration, support, and pride in each other. As one tenured faculty member put it, RPI is full of very good people who never let you down. And so I think we can consider the brilliant people box checked. On the second front, resources, without question, RPI is a resource-constrained institution. In particular, the pandemic impacted RPI's revenue and added significant costs. Managing to balance a budget through COVID required expense reductions, and many of our faculty and staff were stretched thin as they continued to deliver on our missions with fewer people and resources. I know from my own experience just how demanding it has been to operate a university through a pandemic. I want to express my sincere appreciation to all of our faculty, staff, and students for handling a truly challenging period with such grace. It is a tribute to your hard work and your devotion to RPI. But I know that this community can't carry on in this state as we emerge from the pandemic. And so the question for everyone at RPI moving forward is, how do we grow into an organization that allows the talented people here to fly even higher? Can we be creative in increasing our resources while expanding our influence with new educational offerings and new research partnerships? I'm sure we can. And I think we're going to find the process of identifying new opportunities truly enjoyable. The third aspect of greatness is a shared sense of purpose. My listening tour has made it abundantly clear how much everyone at RPI is inspired by our missions to educate brilliant young people and to generate research that solves important problems. This is as true for our staff members, including those who might not be on the front lines of research or education, as it is for our faculty. And it's true for me too. Every decision I make will be in support of those missions. To all the members of the community, I will strive to keep you informed and engaged in all we do. And I look forward to working with you collectively as we advance RPI into the future. One aspect of that is understanding where this community wants to go. On my listening tour, I have been asking everyone I meet, what are your aspirations for RPI moving forward? I'll say more about what I've heard from you on that front in a moment. But first, I'd like to share my own aspirations for RPI in 4 areas: education, research, translation of our ideas, and regional engagement. Implicit in these 4 areas of endeavor is the need to be intentional in building a strong, inclusive community. And I'll speak more about that in a moment. But let's start with education. As my colleague mentioned, or alluded to, when I was named president of RPI, a faculty colleague at MIT in physics called me to congratulate me and told me about the physics department coming here to Troy a few decades ago to observe the studio-based teaching of physics RPI was pioneering at the time, and then bringing that back to MIT. Indeed, MIT still uses that approach today. Other universities have looked to RPI for ways to make a scientific education more student-driven, more experiential, and more hands-on for nearly 200 years. Our founders Amos Eaton, and Stephen Van Rensselaer, in creating RPI, turned upside down the more passive style of learning offered at the country's existing liberal arts institutions. RPI was certainly one of the first institutions of higher learning in the world, if not the first, to expect students to conduct their own experiments as part of their education. It probably was the first school in the world to teach scientific fieldwork in a structured way. In fact, Amos Eaton, one of the fathers of American geology, took his students along his summer research tours, covering hundreds of miles over the courses of weeks and requiring them to keep their own geological journals. Students were also taken on tours of local industrial sites, often seeing engineering concepts in practice before learning them in theory. The history of our innovation continues into the 20th century as RPI pioneered the studio classroom and the flipped classroom, and into the 21st century during President Jackson's tenure as innovative projects such as the Mandarin Project experimented with game-driven narratives, immersive technologies, and interaction with AI in formal coursework. In fact, just this week, in visiting with the School of Architecture, I was blown away by the Crave Lab and its creative use of immersive environments. As we approach our bicentennial in 2024, I would like to see us embrace this rich history of educational innovation, which I frankly believe is in our DNA, and to organize ourselves institute-wide to make a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts, and pursue exciting visions like personalized learning that adapts the delivery of knowledge to the preferred learning style of each individual. To members of the RPI community, you can expect to hear more from me about this in the coming months. The second area of aspiration for me is in research. We need to make the most of our research centers, which target areas of research that truly are critical to our future, including the Center for Engineering and Precision Medicine in partnership with the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, our Institute for Energy, the Built Environment, and Smart Systems, whose partners include the Brooklyn Law School, and our Institute for Data, Artificial Intelligence, and Computing. RPI's institute-wide centers are an important aspect of the low walls that characterize the university. They allow for multidisciplinary collaborations and for genuinely original work. However, we must also support curiosity-driven projects and basic science research that don't always fit into the boxes we have created. Great ideas and research come from everywhere, and we need to make sure that our faculty have all the practical help and resources they need to pursue those ideas. I want to make sure that our schools, all our schools, are full participants in our research. Beyond science and engineering, architecture brings a unique understanding of design that informs the work we do. Management brings a perspective on leadership and organizations. And the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences brings a humanistic view to our research agenda. This is so important when powerful technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, and CRISPR raise a host of social and ethical issues and demand a responsible approach. We also have a number of truly great industrial partnerships in research and education with companies like IBM and Boeing, to just name a few. As an example, with IBM, we partner on many efforts, including the Global Freshwater Institute, the IBM Research AI Hardware Center, and our Amos supercomputer. I believe these relationships should serve as a model for expanding industrial engagement moving forward. In addition to the focus on education and research, I want us to be as successful as we possibly can in translating our ideas into the world. The paths for translating ideas to impact from a university campus have evolved significantly over the decades. The traditional technology transfer to an industrial research lab is increasingly being replaced by translation through the creation of a new venture, be it a commercial startup or a nonprofit. In some instances, these new entities are created in partnership with established industries. With the Severino Center for Technological Entrepreneurship, the Mill, the Forge, ARCOS, and the Bert Swersey Inventure Studio, which you heard of, and a strong culture of innovation, RPI already excels in fostering entrepreneurs. In fact, I was pleased to learn that Harvard economist Raj Chetty's Opportunity Insights Group, ranks RPI third nationwide in terms of the percentage of our alumni who have become inventors, trailing only MIT and Carnegie Mellon. Today, we heard from one of those inventors, Eben, CEO and co-founder, along with his fellow alumnus, Gavin McIntyre of Ecovative. One of the great joys of returning to RPI after 4 decades is seeing how much the region has come into life, in part because of the companies founded by our alumni, including Velen Studios, First Playable Productions, and Leverix in Troy, as well as Ecovative in Green Island and Vive in Latham. As an institution, I believe we need to do everything possible to help our current students and our faculty follow Eben's path to success, although I'm not going to call you every day. That means using our convening power vigorously to bring together the financial and intellectual capital to help our entrepreneurs. We also need to think creatively and flexibly about partnerships that can launch our innovation into the world. By educating so many brilliant young people who start and staff local businesses, RPI plays an important role in the regional economic development. However, we also have the opportunity to do even more, which brings me to my 4th point, the importance of regional engagement. When I met with our center directors and asked them about their aspirations for RPI, one answer was leadership along the entire route of the Hudson River from the Adirondacks to New York City. When Rensselaer was founded, this particular region at the end of the navigable Hudson and the beginning of the Erie Canal was one of the most vibrant places in the world. It was the resources of the Hudson and Mohawk Valleys, first beaver pelts, and then agriculture and industrial products that drove New York City's development as a capital of finance and trade. By educating highly trained engineers ready to take on the civil work that allows for trade, transportation, communication, and an expansion of opportunity, Rensselaer was key to the economic development of the region and the nation. Today, our opportunities still reach north to Lake George and the amazing work done at the Darien Freshwater Institute, as well as south to New York City, where our presence is expanding with our new centers. I'd like to see RPI deliberately amplify the strengths of this region in a way that lifts all boats. During my 4 decades at MIT, I watched our neighboring Kendall Square transform from a place of abandoned candy factories, parking lots, and a diner into one of the world's most exciting, innovative districts, particularly in the life sciences. This did not happen in a vacuum. The location of the Whitehead Institute in Kendall Square in 1984 helped to spawn an informal network of collaborating scientists and physicians from MIT and Harvard and its hospitals, who were pioneering new approaches to medicine based on molecular biology and genetics. In 2004, with the creation of the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard, the 2 institutions formalized their cooperation and created the critical mass that drew accelerating private investment. In fact, research by Dr. Ben Armstrong, a political scientist and interim executive director of MIT's Industrial Performance Center, has found that cooperation between universities and academic medical centers can be a powerful economic force. For example, Dr. Armstrong found that the key to Pittsburgh's transformation into an innovation hub was the fact that in the 1980s, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania brought together Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Pittsburgh as leaders of a coalition to spur Pittsburgh's economic development. Together, they propelled what many considered a Rust Belt city in the 70s to a vibrant and economically diverse region today. The message is simple. When organizations that are deeply committed to a region and have the capacity to think long-term seek ways to work together, great things can happen. We should see such economic leadership as a top priority at RPI. We have both an obligation and an opportunity to work with like-minded partners for the collective benefit of the capital region and the Hudson River Valley. With SUNY Polytechnic's College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering, the University of Albany, NY creates the IBM Research AI Hardware Center, Hudson Valley Community College, and Global Foundries, just to name a few, right in our backyard, and with the expertise and physical resources we have here, there are tremendous opportunities, as Congressman Tonko mentioned, for our entire region with the passage of the CHIPS and Science Act and its support for domestic semiconductor manufacturing and research. And in fact, Tuesday's announcement of a new entrant, Micron Technology, to upstate New York adds even more excitement. And I look forward to working closely and collectively with all of our regional partners on this amazing opportunity. I hope to see us grow and expand these engagements, and I'm heartened to see many of the leaders of our neighboring schools, colleges and universities, medical centers, economic development partners, government and industry that have taken the time to join us today. I am excited to work with you to advance the Capital Region as an innovative hub. Beyond the region, I think RPI should continue to focus on pursuing global partnerships to help prepare our students to be successful in a globally connected workplace, but also to ensure that we have global reach and impact in all that we do. And finally, I have one more major goal for RPI, a goal that transcends any one aspect of our mission and that is essential to all of them. I would like us to be the most accessible, welcoming, and inclusive community for all, one that allows us to attract and retain talented women, underrepresented minority, international, neurodiverse, disabled, and LGBTQ+ faculty, staff, and students, and to add their perspectives to everything we do here in research and education. We have some history to be proud of on this front. Amos Eaton was already trying to recruit women to Rensselaer in 1834, when he taught a group of women students advanced mathematics to prove to the Board of Examiners that women should be admitted. Unfortunately, the board at that time declined to follow the evidence, and it would not be until World War II that women began to matriculate at RPI. RPI has a long history of distinguished Latino and Black graduates, including many Latin American alumni who contributed to projects such as the Panama Canal. And our first Black graduate, Garnett Baltimore, of the class of 1881, who had a fantastic career in civil engineering before becoming a landscape engineer and enriching Troy forever with his design for Prospect Park. However, we clearly cannot rest. So many people on my listening tour said they wanted to see us more focused on diversity and inclusion. And this has to be a priority for both the administration and our academic leadership. At RPI, we need to put in place the right supports to create a more even playing field for our women graduate students, postdocs, and junior faculty, especially those with young children. And we need to be thoughtful about the challenges faced by anyone in the minority here and make sure that our warm and supportive culture extends to them. To consider the concrete steps we can take as an institution to become more diverse and inclusive, in the next few weeks I intend to stand up a task force to address these issues and provide me with a series of recommendations. Beyond that, we need to be one Rensselaer in spirit. We may have vastly different backgrounds and experiences, but we cannot allow this to divide us when there is so much opportunity ahead. So as we build a more inclusive community, let's unite around our high hopes for Rensselaer as it approaches its third century and for each other. When I asked the small groups I met with what their aspirations are for RPI, I got a lot of very specific wishes, ranging from interactive whiteboards to faculty staff dining hall, and my favorite, a system of tunnels under the campus for slush avoidance in winter. I clearly have my work cut out for me. But the aspiration I heard most often was a desire for everything this community does so well to receive more recognition both inside and beyond the Institute, from employees, from the broader academic community, from award committees, and from the world at large. I could not agree more. Let me finish by saying RPI is a great institution, great in its history, its people, and most importantly to me, its potential. I am so proud to have this opportunity to lead it. I will do everything in my power to encourage, amplify, and broadcast its greatness. The wind is at our back. I so look forward to working with all of you as one community as we move forward to a truly exciting future, as we move Rensselaer forward. Thank you.
Please rise for the Rensselaer Student Chorus conducted by Professor Robert Whalen in singing our alma mater. They are joined by the Calliope Brass Ensemble, and please join in on the second time. Please remain standing for the benediction from the University Chaplain, Father Larry Rice.
Let us pray. Almighty God, as we gather today to mark the inauguration of a new president of the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, we ask your generous blessings for Dr. Martin Schmidt, for his family, and for our entire Rensselaer community. Give him courage to lead us with both appreciation for our traditions and enthusiasm for innovation and exploration. Give him wisdom when decisions are difficult, and guide his advisors to speak forthrightly and thoughtfully. Give him a clear vision to guide us into a bright and prosperous future where our diversity is celebrated and all are included in our mission. May Dr. Schmidt find on our campus a community of welcome, collaboration, and integrity. May the drumbeat of administrative tasks never overwhelm his care for our students, faculty, and staff. May his leadership inspire greater support for Rensselaer and help provide the resources that will allow us to change the world for the better. As Marty and his wife Lynn settle into their new home here, may they know the support of friends and family and build new relationships to sustain them in our community. May we together experience the pride of our storied history, the opportunities of the present moment, and the hope of a bright future for all of us at Rensselaer. Amen. Amen.
Please remain in place during the recessional. us on this momentous day. Now please, join us for a reception on the 5th and 6th levels.